Button. Okay, guys, we're recording. First of all, I want to thank everybody for hopping on our Tuesday training Zoom, and I am super excited as usual. I know I say that every week. If we listen to the recording of these every week, I say the same thing because I am always excited about this call because we hear from a different 200K leader every week, and it's just so awesome and inspiring to hear people giving us tips and hearing their journey, but also hearing their struggles that they go through. And then we realize, guess what? We're not alone. And I am always just so humbled at how awesome our company is and how just grateful I am to be a part of a company that every single time I ask somebody to be on this call, they always say yes, even if they're not on our team. And that just goes to show what amazing people that we have. And today is no exception. I have Sherri Leopold on with us. Sherri, am I saying your last name right? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Leopold. It's fine.
We're good. Leopold. Okay, good. I am the worst at botching names. Like, it's horrible. Give me a name and I'll like screw it up and it can be basic. So I always like to check. Sherri, first of all, I want to thank you for hopping on today and just sharing your story with us. And taking the time out of your day to do this, because I know that you don't make money off of us, and it's pretty awesome when people are so gracious to do that. I would love to kind of start at the beginning and what before you ever did any kind of network marketing or home-based business, what were you doing? And then was Lavelle your first network marketing company, or did you ever do network marketing before Lavelle? And if you did you see any success at it, or was it kind of like nah, or like dabbling? And then how did you find Lavelle? And then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I actually have a degree in social services. I went about halfway through my master's in counseling. I'm a very empathic person, so I think it's kind of one of the reasons that I didn't finish the master's, because like if you cry and you tell me something sad and horrible, I am so right there with you. And really, if you're going to a therapist, you probably don't want your therapist crying because you might as well throw in the towel. So I kind of like deviated off that path. I worked in social services for quite a while prior to getting into the direct selling space 21 years ago, I might add. I actually was working primarily in the school system with preschool and daycare, or not daycare, but private preschool and in the school system. So it allowed me to be where I wanted to be for my family at that time. What prompted me 21 years ago to actually even look at this industry was I was only working part-time, and I was working in the preschool that my children were attending, and I could take them with me so I could still mom, but yet bring in an income. But I wanted to have my own money that wasn't, somebody else's or dedicated to something else. I wanted to be able to have something extra. So that's actually why I started so long ago. And I love to cook. And I actually came into Cooking the American Way, which was a division of House of Lloyd. So I was back doing the home party thing, and I'm a very social person. So that like was really fun for me. It didn't feel like work. So that was kind of my introduction, and I just wanted that little bit of extra cash. But I have to say I have had great success. And I will point out that Lavelle is actually my 10th company. And so several who had been in business a lot of years went out of business, and things like that. So I had to change and be flexible. But I have earned, I forgot, I counted it up, and now I forgot what the number is, but I think I earned 10 or 12 trips prior to coming into Lavelle. So that is something that motivated me. So when that fruit was dangled in front of me, I was like, I want that. So like that was a huge plus for me when stumbling into Lavelle. But I have to be honest, when I first saw this, absolutely said no. I had done a previous company that was in the health and wellness space, and I was kind of jaded. I want to be honest and just say I didn't want to do it because I felt like people didn't really care if they felt healthy or they felt good or not until it was crisis, right? And like I didn't want to deal with that space. So I said no to Sheila Fasoni. Yep, that's me. I always say I'm the Art Linkleiter of Lavelle. because those 7 weeks between the saying yes or no and then to the yes are like the 7 steps he took away from Walt Disney when he said no to that. So that's just my funny. But anyway, I did come back around, ironically, not to Sheila, but to somebody that I knew personally better, and got introduced to the product. And actually, I always say this was like God opened the door for me with that, and I shut it. It's kind of in Sheila's face and in my own face. And so things got really, really hard for me in my personal life. And I found myself in a completely different position of about 7 weeks later. And it opened up the need for needing the things that the Thrive experience offered. You know, the stress relief, I wasn't sleeping. And so the alignment was right. So although the door was shut, the window was open, and maybe it was harder to crawl through, but I saw it. I saw the opportunity, and I didn't let it pass at that time. So kind of found me in a moment of desperation, I guess, for lack of a better thing. I was already involved in another company. I was doing okay with it. There wasn't any problem with that company per se. It was more direct sales. But what I was suffering from was a lack of physical well-being at that time. I was so overcommitted to things. I felt like I was like not doing anything well. And so to actually consider putting something else in my life, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I told my sponsor, Carol, no, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? No way. She led with the business because we were in the same business previously. And I said, no, absolutely not. But that was until I actually experienced the product. And then the funny thing for me, I have a weird story in that I did all the research myself. I literally only asked her 2 questions before I signed up. And that was the difference between customer and promoter, and why would anybody sign up as a customer? Of course, you have to understand at that particular, point in time, I'd had 15 years, in that sector. So I understood definitely the differences between customer and promoter, but I couldn't find a valid reason for not pursuing it as a promoter. So I just
That's
jumped
kind of
in.
where it took off. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's so crazy because you said, you were in like 10 other companies, and sometimes I think people think, and you saw like, so would it be safe to say, Lavelle, you've seen the most success in out of all of
Oh, by
those
far.
companies?
Yes. I
And
had
and so
success, but not like this.
right. And it's just, I think this is so fun talking to you today because, you've been in a lot of other companies. You've seen a lot of other comp plans. I
Oh
kind of
my.
want to pick your brain on that a little bit because you know how people
Please.
always say the grass is greener, oh, it's slow right now. Nobody's signing in my business. It's November and December. And
Right.
people start freaking out and they start looking left and right. And their
Yeah.
best friend comes to them and says, I just found the new best thing and it's the most awesome comp plan. Talk a little bit about like the hugest differences why you think this was so successful for you compared to those 10 other companies, and like the biggest differences that you see in the comp plan that that Lavelle stands apart from everyone else.
Sure. The interesting thing is when Carol reached out to me, she sent me the comp plan, which is kind of unusual. I don't know that we normally do that. Now, I will do that for somebody if I'm connecting with them and I know they have a background and they know what they'll be looking at. I don't send it to people that would just be confused by it, right? Um, so what I did get the comp plan because she sent it to me right away. So I read through it, and I will tell you, one of the things that stood out to me, because I had had great success with other companies and had built teams and things, I actually realized the one thing I was never able to accomplish was an auto bonus. And that was kind of like, because I'm sort of goal driven, I guess. I'm sure it's not a surprise. But I was like, it frustrated me that I just couldn't nail that one down, right? And so when I was reading that comp plan, that was the thing that jumped out at me. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I cannot even fathom that, that is and I don't want to say easy, but doable, accomplishable. I mean, I knew because I looked back across and I thought, well, I would have been an auto bonus earner in at least two of those companies, you know, and so I knew I could do it, and I knew I could help other people do it. And, you know, the auto bonus was higher than any of the other auto bonus awards in any other company. And it was easier to get. I'm like, to me, that was a no brainer. I mean, you know, there was nothing that compared to that, to even just that piece of it. But I
Yeah,
love
I
to
think they
travel.
say we're like the number one auto bonus company in
Oh
the
my gosh.
industry. And I believe that because I've looked at several comp plans over the last 10 years, and I have never seen one that you can get an auto bonus. We had an auto bonus in my last company, and one person in 6.5 years got that on my entire team. It's like, to be over here and have like over 700 on my team have that. It's like, it's mind blowing.
It is. It's so
It
crazy.
blows your
And you
mind.
know, the thing is, it's the impact that's so crazy. Because I remember one of my friends, I was sitting on city council in the town that I lived in, and gentleman was very overweight, and he sat next to me, and I always prayed that he would be there at the next meeting. I know that sounds terrible, but he weighed like 400 pounds, and he wasn't very tall. And so I was like, always asking him, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? And you know what? He wasn't ready till he walked out and saw my Lexus. And I was like, he's like, is that your car? And I said, yeah. I said, isn't that amazing? And he goes, all right, maybe we do need to talk, which I thought was so funny because I've been talking to him all this time about his health, you know, and his
It's
wellness.
so crazy what will get to
Like,
people,
what?
right? It is. It's like you have to really know who your audience is so that you can
Right.
like hit them with the right thing. And I
But
know
I'm
like,
super proud of him because he's lost 125 pounds.
oh wow.
And he's just an amazing success story with this product. So, you know, and I told him when we were standing there at the car, he's like, that's really nice. I said, yeah, it's nice. But I said, you know what? And I still say this today because I said it last week. I said, I have a Mercedes now, but I said, you know what? I said, when I see that car, I don't really see the car, I see people. That's what it represents, is
Right.
all the people who have been helped along the way. It's not about the vehicle, it's about the stories that surround the vehicle. You know,
That's
and I
it is.
told
It's
him
so
that
true.
5 years ago when we were talking, you know, I'm like, that's what it is. It's about the people and the stories.
Right. Yeah, the other thing that really stuck out to me too was how much money that they give away right in those first 2 weeks. Most
Right,
people, and the fact that we get paid weekly, most companies, you know, you're just trying to catch up with your auto ship or your
right,
website fee or whatever the fees are. And then the next month comes and you get one paycheck that doesn't even cover that. And it's like
right.
frustrating. And that's where you see most people quit. And I think
Yes,
a lot of the reason why we see so many people stay with Lavelle is the fact that your customers and promoters can get their product free every month. People think that that's like a common thing. That isn't. To get
right,
free product and never having to order anything. That's like,
right.
it's crazy.
I
So,
just told somebody that the other day. They're like, you don't have to order every month. I said, well, I oftentimes I do, but I don't have to. No.
right,
And they're like,
right,
that is so weird. I'm like, I think it's awesome. You can call it weird. I'm going to call it awesome. It's all good. But, you
right.
know, I really want to be transparent, and I want to say to people that are listening, you know, don't give up. I did not hit my VIPs. I didn't even hit VIP 800. I was close to that. My particular product, I live in central Illinois. We had two ice storms. It took me almost a little over a week to get my product because of delivery issues. I lost a big part of my VIP period because I didn't have any product. When I started, my 6-year anniversary will be December 31st. I Nobody knew what I was talking about. I didn't have any street cred, if you will. I couldn't point to anybody because nobody I knew was doing it in my area. I just couldn't point to anybody. And actually, all the way up to not Tony, but Maria, nobody had been in more than 8 weeks. So like it was new. Like I couldn't point to hundreds of people. I couldn't point to thousands of stories. I only had the connections I could make, right? So here's the thing. I always say, if I had to decide whether I was going to be successful in those first 30 days, if that would have determined that, I would have quit.
I love that you brought that up because there are, I always, I, here's the thing with those bonuses. They are amazing. And yes, let's go after them, but they're not the end all be all
Right.
of whether you're going to see success in this business. I have plenty of people 80, 200Ks, 40Ks, 12Ks that didn't get those bonuses.
Right.
And if they would have based their success off of that first month, and that's the sad part is most people quit network marketing in their first month. They don't even
Right.
give it a chance to see where it can go if they
Right.
actually treat it like a business and they're in it for the long haul. So give me kind of a breakdown of what that looked like. How long did it take you to go 4K? And then how long between 4K and 12K and all the way up?
You know, it's interesting. And I like to point out that, you know, when we talk about like, you know, Maury has been doing a lot of training on the last 90 days and things like that. But I like to sort of think of like the 90-day window always. And the reason I say that is because I see from day one what my 90-day trajectory was, if you will. I think my first 3 months in sales were like, and I'm being very transparent, and I had like no stories, so I feel pretty proud of this, but it was like $600 in sales to like $1,500 to sales to almost 10,000. I just missed my auto bonus by about $1,700 in that third month, but I did hit it in the fourth month. I hit my 4K in my third month, but I want people to understand it was not because I worked harder in my fourth month. It was because I worked really hard in the first month and the second month, and I didn't quit just because I didn't have a giant paycheck. Like I didn't quit. I just kept sharing, right? And I think that if I would leave nothing with people today, it would be that. It was that I didn't quit because my results weren't what I wanted. I kept going because I knew what was possible. And as you look at other 200Ks and people who are where you want to be and you're not there yet and you're frustrated, don't quit because it is possible, and focus on your 90 days. I always use the visual because I'm a very visual person. And this is what I say to new people. I'm like, I want you to think about your business as being like the stir crazy popcorn popper. And you're loading seeds into the popper. That's what you're doing for the first 30, 60 days. You're just loading seeds in the popper. The oil is there, and as long as you stay plugged in, that oil is going to get hot and it's going to be moving, and suddenly it's going to start exploding. That's what went from 600 to 10,200 or whatever in 3 months. It wasn't because I found, you know, finally found the right people. It was because I did the do every day in those 90 days. And they continued, the seeds continued to germinate. You know what I'm saying? They kept continuing to grow because I kept them watered, I kept the popper plugged in, and the seeds kept going. You know, I kept the heat on.
I love
Don't
that
give up.
analogy. Yeah, it's like the truth. It's all about what you're doing now. Like people say, well, right now I'm so slow and no one's signing with me, but it's the seeds you're planting right now and in
Yes.
December that are going to start to go in January when people are like waking up and they're
Right.
like New Year's resolutions and it's a new year. That's those people that you talk to most recently are going to be the ones that go, I get it, or I need that. And
That's right.
people just started sticking through those slow times, but it's never, I always have to point this out because one of my promoters, Kayla Fox, said you have to rock out the season you're in. And it's so true. Sometimes it's
Right.
not a season where you're signing people, but it's a planting seed season. I'm going to rock out talking to as many people as I can, rock out adding as many new people to Facebook as I can.
Right.
So you've been in, were you in before they had the patch or right when the patch came out?
It was a few months after, I think. I
So
think
they
maybe it
only
came
had
out in
like the 3 products, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And this is when I always say people say it's hard or it's saturated. Are you kidding me? when you started, that was hard. You had no one to go, look at these people's results. I can, I can bring over my next door neighbor. You had nobody to do that with. That's
Right.
hard. Hard is
Yeah.
getting it going in the beginning. That's the difficult part. Now we have, the fan page with hundreds of thousands of stories of people that have seen results with this product, and there's someone in your town that you probably can go to and say, look, that this person has seen results from this. So you've been in 6 years coming up in the next month, right?
Yep.
And how long did it take you to go 200K?
28 months.
So a little
So,
over 2 years.
yep. And that's why, and the interesting thing I'd like to point out, only because I went back and sort of looked at my stats in the back office, because I wanted to remind myself. And I looked back and I was like, wow. I was like, you know what? 2 months before that, I had dropped back to 40. And then went back to
Wow.
80 and then to 200. So, like, once again, I'm going to point out that 90-day window to y'all. If November is the first month of your next 90, what's your January going to look like, right? Your January is going to look like whatever you did this month. So do it or don't. Like,
That's
just,
so awesome. I mean, at the time, it probably didn't feel awesome, but the fact that
oh,
you
it
fell down to
totally
40,
did not feel awesome. I'm going to point
right?
that out. It did
You
not feel
did you
awesome.
have that feeling like, oh gosh, it's falling apart? See, this is what
Absolutely.
happens to people is the setback. Okay, they're rolling, they're moving. The setback happens, and once the setback happens, they get in their own head. They start to completely stop doing what they were doing. They get
Right.
depressed, they get down on themselves, they start micromanaging. And the fact of the matter is because they're down and then they stop doing the things that got them there in the first place,
That's
then
right.
they don't see the growth. But you didn't, yes, were you set back? Were you probably like, oh crap, what's happening? But you didn't
Yes.
stop. And
No.
3 months
And
later, you went from 40K to 200.
right. And the other thing is, I will tell you, I've always been a person that I'm not going to look out into my team and say, why aren't you doing this or why aren't you doing that? Unless I'm making an assessment to say, am I doing enough that they're seeing what I'm doing? Does that make sense? I mean, like, I'm only looking to see if I am doing enough. I am that person that has always felt one of the most important tools you have is the mirror, to look at yourself. Like, I was thinking about this morning, and I'm like, a good question to always ask yourself is, would I want 100 of me on my team? Right?
Right,
If
that's
I
an
had
eye opener.
100 people doing exactly what I was doing, would I be considered successful?
Right. That's an eye opener. And it's so hard for people to look in the mirror and be truthful with themselves. And I
Yes.
always say it's so much easier for people to go blame, the blame game. My downline, the people I'm signing aren't doing what they're supposed to do. My upline's not there when I message her. I've tried, but this happened in my life. Somebody died. I got a divorce, something, my pet's sick. I mean, these things are going to happen. And at normal jobs, we just have to go to them anyways. So
Right.
I don't.
Right. Exactly. And it's my friend Elizabeth always says, you ask yourself the 4 words. Always ask the 4 words. Do I want it? Do I want it? At every single juncture and every hard spot and my mom has dementia right now. I'm moving all her stuff out of the thing, but what do you think I'm doing? I'm still posting a story. I'm still doing my follow-ups. Why? Because it's important to build my business, right? It's like, it doesn't mean I'm saying no to her. I'm doing the do, and I'm grateful that I have this job that I do and that I'm able to put my family first, but I can still work. And one of my promoters called me and we did a coaching call, and he's like, I'm so sorry that I was like, no, this is life. This is what happens. I'm here to help you as well. You're building your own personal business. I'm here for you for that. You know what? We'll work it around what I have to do and what I have to show up for, but I have the flexibility. And that's a gift. I mean, a true gift to be able to do that. And
Right.
if that's what your goal is, when the times that are hard come, you ask yourself, do I want it? Do I want it? Do I want it?
You know,
Because
I have like kind of a weird, crazy question, and I don't even know if you're going to be able to answer it but I'm going to try to put this in a way that, okay, so I'm basically going to ask a question that I don't know if I'm asking right, but when that happened to you, or over the last 6 years, when you've had setbacks, like going back to 40K and then, 3 months later, you're at 200K, how do you keep the faith that you're going to get back there? Because I think that that is where people, they start doubting, and if they fall back one more time, we get caught in this whirlwind hole where we just think we're never going to get out, and then that's going to affect our business. That's going to affect what we do every day. It's going to get us
right.
in a place where we can't move forward. And being in 10 different companies, and I've been doing this for 10 years, 2 different companies, but because I've been doing it for so long, I know that because of the patterns I've seen sticking through things, that they always come around if you do the
Yes.
right thing. But it's
And I
so
think
hard because
you
I've
just
been there.
articulated it though. It was the thing
Right.
that you answered at, that you said, you snuck in there. You said, if I do the right thing. That's the question to ask yourself. You're looking in the mirror and you're saying, can I be completely 100% honest, and am I doing the right things? Am I doing what a successful brand promoter, no matter what the level, does? Am I doing that? Can I honestly say, am I doing that? My push to 200K, what I did that was different is I think I counted 23 events out of 30 days. And I will point out that 4 of those days of the 30, I was at Thrive Palooza. Wasn't called that, whatever, our annual gathering. So I had one almost every single day of the week, that entire month, except when I was in Texas, which is when we hit 200K. It was very exciting.
Right.
But the whole point is, what did I do? I had to look in the mirror and say, am I doing everything I can to help my team, to show up, to go up? Am I doing it? And I knew I had to up the level to do that. So you got to ask yourself, if you're doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but you haven't had any kind of gatherings in 3 months, are you really doing everything you can? Are you doing everything you should be that a successful person's doing? It's not a judgment thing. It's something for each person to ask themselves.
So let's talk a little bit about events, because I just don't think people do enough of them. And I think a lot of people overthink it too. I've got people that tell me, oh, I can't do an event. I don't have any products, or I can't do an event because, I don't have the space, or, I mean, there's always something, right? What did you do, during, I would love to know how you've grown your business over the last 6 years. Like, how do you continue to, add to your network, meet new people? And when you say events, do you mean like locals? Did you start out in your living room? Like, how did you go about it?
Well, it's kind of interesting because it's sort of changed along the way. And I think it's a personal thing. And, I just had this conversation yesterday with one of my promoters. You have to make a choice of what fits for you. And Paul talked about this on one of his calls he did in this past week. If it's the conference call that you bring people to, great. If it's the living room local, that's great. If you like the big events, I'm not that much of a fan of that. I'm more inclined to do smaller things like 6 to 10 people. But, I've had to shift and change. Really, to me, the most successful things that I've done is actually, if somebody wants to thrive for free, or you have a new promoter launching, I prefer to have them have that group of people in the room together, knowing that they're launching that person. That's how the VIP 800 and VIP 1600s are being met now. That's how I feel like it. When somebody hits the button and then they go back and they go forward and oh, well, I got to do that and I should get this call set up. No, I feel like if you're going to hit that, you have somebody that wants to hit that button, they had all those things set up in their first 48 hours of that. But they don't hit the button until they're ready to submit orders. That's my personal opinion. you know, and I didn't do that way back when. So like you know, that's changed for me how I do that. But I prefer to either do a friends and family call or a gathering inside the room. Like if somebody wants to thrive for free, I'm not hosting it. I want them to host it. This is their network, right?
Right. You
Like,
know what? That's such a good idea to do with your customers. Get some people
absolutely.
over, I'll come over, bring the products. Like, you know, we're not necessarily a party plan, but it doesn't have to look like that either. You know what I mean? It can easily be. And you know, I love when Paul says, a lot of people don't understand that. People ask me all the time, why does Paul say you have 5 thrivers in the room and 2 people that aren't thrivers? Because he gets the fact that when you are surrounded by people with stories, you know, you have one person that's not a thriver and the other 4 are thrivers. It's because guess what? Nobody wants to be left out. Everybody wants
Right.
to be a part of what everybody
Right.
else is. And if you have less than, there's not enough stories. There's not enough, you know, overpowering, you know, facts to that person. They're in a room with 4 other people. They're like, well, I want to do this too. Okay, I'm in.
And
It's
I
that
think
pressure.
also we can't discount the fact that there are some people who don't have huge networks and they don't have big, huge networks of friends. Like some people do, but some people come in and they know a small group of people, and that's totally okay too, because sometimes the need that somebody has is the need for friendship and networking with other people and to enlarge their circle of influence and their circle of friends. I mean, I have great friends inside this company of people that I would never have known. So, you know what, we have to be aware that some people might be coming in saying, I can't pay my light bill. But somebody else might be coming in saying, you know what, I need that camaraderie that comes from being part of a team and a group of people who are like-minded and positive. Maybe that's what they really need.
Right.
You know,
Right. And
we don't
it's so
know.
true. I think more people stay in network marketing because of that. You
Yes.
know, it's when they're not making money or, you know, it's because they feel a part of something. And
Right.
I think we totally lose the message of that in not doing like these home gatherings and getting people
Yeah.
together, even if it is, you know, I think we look at it as a defeat if we have, let's say, a living room local and only one guest comes and everyone else is thrivers. We look at that as a defeat. That is a win. It only takes one person to change 10 businesses, 20
Oh
businesses,
my
30
gosh, yes.
businesses. Right. And isn't it about getting together? Aren't those get togethers about being a part of something? And aren't those the exact reasons why people aren't going to quit on us when times get tough, when the going
Right.
gets rough, right? Because it will. When you look back over the last, you know, almost 6 years, what do you feel like? Do you feel like do you have like something that sticks out to you that was like one of your biggest setbacks, like that you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to recover, or this is horrible, or I'm in a funk, like just, you know what I mean?
Um, I think actually, uh, I would say that probably the hardest thing I've had is that when sometimes personalities don't mesh. I'm a person that obviously with my counseling background, I like for things to be solved and you know, even and everybody gets along. And sometimes there are people that you don't mesh with, and that's the hardest thing for me is I really have struggled with a couple people that I can't seem to connect with the way I would like to. But I've had to just sort of bless and release that and let somebody else in the upline or whatever take care of that and take care of them. And that's still hard for me because I just want to have a great relationship with everybody. And that's my nature. And so that's probably been my hardest thing. You know, you're not necessarily going to love everybody that is on your team. And I don't mean love them like appreciate them. I mean, you're just not going to be best friends with every single person. We just have different personalities. And I've also had to really do some soul searching and learning about how sometimes, and this is something that I would say to everybody listening, is just remember, when you get a response back from somebody, whether it's a potential customer, potential promoter, somebody on your team, and it seems out of place, like, oh my gosh, why are they acting like that to me? Sometimes it's not, and likely not, anything to do with you. Remember, people respond always to you from where they stand, from their experiences. You don't know what those things are. All the, you want to call it baggage, filters, whatever you want to call, they come with all of this stuff. We don't always know what all of that stuff is. But just know that when they respond to you and you're shocked, surprised, or it doesn't make sense, it's probably not about you. They're responding from where they stand. Just love them where they're at. And that's probably the biggest thing. Love them where they're at. If they have to be over there and you're over here, it's okay. As long as somebody can take care of them on your team and they're happy and they can build their dream, then let it go.
You know what? That is one of the best things to point out, because I mean, let's face it, we're in a people business and personalities clash. And, I have leaders, I have myself that I have at times. And I don't know if it's like a control factor, but you want to kind of go, okay, I'm here, I'm your 200K upline or whatever. And when somebody's not, they don't like you, or they don't want to come to you, or they're stepping over you, or whatever that is, it's not, I had to learn that that's okay. So I totally get it, because I would be like, why wouldn't this person want to be involved, or why are they separating themselves? And what I found is, if they're getting their motivation, their inspiration, their help from somebody else, who cares
Right.
who that's
Celebrate it. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It's great. It's all good. As long as their needs are being met, everybody's happy. I mean, that's good. You know what?
You kind of have to get over yourself, right? Like,
yes,
I don't
I
have
was
to
just
be
going
the
to say
one.
those exact words. Just get over yourself and just say, it's okay. As long as they're helped, it's good.
So it sounds to me kind of like you're more like me, a little old school when it comes to building your business. Like, have you done it more belly to belly versus social media? Because I recently, like, I get people through social media, but it's people that I met personally. Like, I added them to Facebook, then I started building the relationship.
Yes.
But most of my business has been built through people, not that I knew, but that I met,
Right.
out and about. Like, I barely have any family. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I have like 2 family members that have ever joined me.
Oh, that's me too. I have almost
very
no
few
family
friends.
that does it.
Right.
And it's not that they're not happy for my success. They just want no part of it. So I'm a little envious of that when people have that relationship. Like, my sister has used product for over 5 years and still uses it and loves it. In fact, we just talked about it this weekend. She would be the most amazing person on my team, but we've talked about it a number of times. She doesn't have any passion for it. So I have to fully respect her, that is not her passion to share this product. As much as she loves it, it's not what she wants to do. It makes me sad because she'd be so amazing at it. But I respect the fact that she tells me that, instead of coming in and having me have such expectations and her not fulfilling them. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I respect that in that, because I don't need that frustration. So I just love her where she's at. And that's a big lesson, that if I could impart something to you, is just love people where they're at. Just allow them to be in their own space.
Right. Because sometimes you can push too hard, and then you push them out of even ordering the product, because
Right.
they're irritated with you. Like, you just lost a great customer. And then
Exactly.
you kind of touched on this when you said that before, when you started, you just signed anyone up as a promoter. Now you don't want them to, like, click that button until they're ready to sign someone else. I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, let's go through these steps, but let's not get that promoter, let's have something in place. Because
Right.
in my opinion, why would you sign up as a promoter if you're not willing to do any of the things that you need? Just be a customer, right? Like,
Right.
let's just be a customer if we're not ready to go there. Because why? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And there's some people that are like just praying that if they can talk somebody into being a promoter and push them into it, that suddenly they're going to hit that button and a bright light's going to go off in their head and they're going to go, I get it. It just doesn't
Well,
happen that way.
you're right. And what ends up happening is you have an entire list of people who never work in that capacity. And, the one caveat of this is like, okay, I get it. If you're VIP 800 and you're one promoter away and you have a customer that wants to come in, I get that. If one person, or, one of your besties or a family member will hit that button for you to help you hit it, but you can't ever see that person in that capacity, because that's not, unless they come to you and say, hey, I really want to do this. We provide them all the information, of course, and what's possible for them, but you got to know that they're not like an active running leg for you. Like, you can't ever look at
Right.
them like that. So
Like, are
why?
we telling our promoters to do that though? Like, why aren't we telling our promoter, okay, now I know you just went VIP 800, but you signed your dog, your cat, your mom, and your sister, all who are not going to work this business. So you can't
Right.
expect anything to move forward after that. See, we're going, oh, they're seeing a 660 bonus, then they might go VIP 1600 the same way, and then the next month nothing. And we're not preparing them for that. It blows my mind. Like, we are the ones setting people up for failure, not them. They don't
Right.
know. Right. So it's what we're
Exactly.
saying.
Exactly. Which is
So
exactly why I said I prefer to say, okay, you're ready to do this. Let's get these things in place where these things are scheduled. How about we hit VIP 800 in your first 2 days, and you have your first two people hit them before your 14 days are up? That's
right.
that's the real plan. And I realize not everybody's going to fit into that, but we have to be, if you want to call it front loading the VIP, uh, and I mean by front loading it with the activity, right? And the reach outs and it has to be from moment one, or preferably, in my opinion, this is another reason why people should come in and be a customer, so they can be comfortable talking about the product. Well, if you've taken it every day for 2 months, you're probably pretty familiar with telling somebody how to take it. If you just come in and they're ordering as a promoter and they've never even taken the product yet, they don't have the injection of energy and enthusiasm needed to set the 4-post foundational posts of legs for a stable table for a business, right? If your 200K is sitting on your platter on the top of the table, if you got a 3-legged table or a 1-legged table, the 200K is going to be on the floor. You can't do it, right? So you want to set your foundation right. And the way to do it is to pre-plant those people set up for success in that VIP before they ever hit the promoter button. That's my personal feeling.
Right. No, I agree. So what do? I'm in your inbox. Like you said, let's set people up for success. Give me an example of like what you would do with me during those 14 days. Like, what would you have me do as far as anything? Like, kind of walk me through what you do with a new promoter, because it sounds like what you do is awesome, and I want to be you right now. So
Well, and I've actually changed, because as I said, I'm that look in the mirror person. So I've realized one of the things that I am helping my immediate, but I've had to kind of shift and go back and go and look at whether my levels are duplicating this. And so like a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I reached out to a whole bunch of people and I said, here's what I need you to think about doing. I need you to think about having an event. I want you to go look at your customers, look at who you can have that social gathering with, because if they're not thriving for free, it's their fault. It's their network, but you have to show up and do the work. So like setting those people up, I don't care if you have 2 customers and you just started, or you're in 2 years and you have no customers right now that are actively ordering, you still have the same ability everybody else has. You just have to start somewhere, right? Get those gatherings put together. I don't care if they're in your living room, their living room, social gathering place outside, whatever. It doesn't matter if there's 2 or 4 or 6. It doesn't matter if it's at lunch or if it's over, coffee or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the do part of it. And, you know, like for getting somebody started, I feel like go back to your whole downline of promoters if you have them and they're not active, and say, hey, I would like to commit to doing 2 gatherings for you in the next 2 weeks. I want to make sure you're thriving for free. This is what I've been doing with people on my team. Like, how can I serve you? How can I help you with this? Here's 2 times that I'm available. We can do a friends and family call, because we can do 3 of those in a day, right? If you want. You can pre-record them, anything, you know, you make it work. That's the point. Make it work. Get the people on the phone, do a Zoom like this, record it, and then share it out, whatever you want to do. But just do something. Get people together in the I don't know what you want to say, in the space, so that they can hear your enthusiasm. I mean, obviously it's always
It's cut
great
and
face to face.
dry.
Yeah.
Like, wait, do the do. Like when somebody messages me, we get them all day long. I'm in a funk, or nothing's growing, or I've talked to 20 people, or nobody signed with me this month, or the millions of really
Hmm.
excuses. I promise every single person that's on this Zoom today, and that's not, you're not doing the do. There's
Right.
something you're not doing, or that you could be doing more of, or that you haven't done yet. You just haven't done it. And whether it's out of laziness, or whether it's out of just lack of motivation, or whatever it is, the bottom line is you can't get to where you want to get to if you're not doing what you need to do, and being consistent with it, and doing it even when you don't want to do it.
Yes.
Like, there's
And
days I
that's
don't want to show up. There's
right.
days you don't want to show up in
Yes.
6 years. Come on. Like, every day you've woken up going, I just can't wait to share Thrive with somebody. Like,
Right.
I can't wait to help another person. There's some days where you just like, I don't feel like doing this. And it's not always fun. It's
Right.
not always fun. And
But you
that's
go
where we
back
lose
to
people.
those 4 words. Do you want it? Do you want it? I
Right.
don't know. Ask yourself. We can't answer that. You know, and that's what I say to people, you know, like they'll get frustrated because somebody will quit, you know, or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, so that was a decision they made for them. So let's talk about you. Do you want it? Do you only want it if they want it too? You know, I've had this conversation multiple times. I say, listen, I didn't start this business 6 years ago because somebody on my 7th line was going to join me that I didn't know. I started this business for me. That's why I always look in the mirror, right? Because I have to answer to me for what I wanted, and do I want it? And what am I doing? What am I bringing to the table? Like, do you want to eat at my table? All the chairs are open for you. What am I bringing and what am I serving? Right? Like, I don't know. You got to show up to go up. Like, what are you offering? You know, if
Right.
somebody's leaving, what are they looking for that you don't have? I don't know. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's them. They're responding from where they stand. Great. Wish you luck. Love you. It's been great. Know that I'm still going to be at this table. You're welcome back. You know, whatever you want, but you do what you need to do. I am going to sit here at this table and I am going to serve the people who come to the table who want to do the gatherings. I don't care if I have to Skype in or Facebook video in or anything else. I will do whatever it is necessary. We do a lot of 3-way video and Facebook Messenger videos, and things like that. So that I like the video because then it's like a 3-way call, but
Well, there's
it's,
not even an excuse anymore. I mean,
no,
I think back when it was hard, my mom was in Avon, and I remember her taking me when I was 5 years old, like going door to door. She was
right.
knocking on people's doors to sell her Avon. If people want to talk
Yep.
about hard, that was hard. Okay.
Yes.
Now we can like literally sit in our beds if we want to, and
Right.
not shower all day, and get on a video and
Right.
present. I mean, really, like, people want to know how bad people want it. I mean, there's nobody, I mean, I don't think I've talked to a 200K yet who doesn't have to push through things, who didn't have hardships, who didn't
Right.
fall backwards, who didn't, you know, get down on their luck, who didn't have to push through all of those things. And that's really the only difference. But I think people are always looking for this magic answer. You know, they come to you and they're looking for you to say something magical, and it's not. It is the same things we say on every call: consistency, hard work, dedication. Nobody makes $1 million not doing those things, unless it was somehow handed to them, you know. But
Right.
no, you don't get
Absolutely.
there without doing the do. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not always going to be fun. And, you know, one of the things I hear a lot is I'm burnt out, you know, or I'm this, or I'm that, or a lot of people
Well,
take
and you
baggage
know
with them
what?
from other companies.
My thought is that's another self-check thing. So ask yourself, if you're saying I'm burnt out or I'm this or I'm that, ask yourself, what are you attracting when you're using those words? What is it that you're serving at your table? You know, because like what the words are that they're saying to you is definitely going out to the network they're reaching out to. What
Oh,
is
for
it that you're
sure.
serving?
Yeah, if people don't think that their attitude, you know, what they're saying behind closed doors is not being portrayed to the people that they're speaking to, there's a total difference in when I'm in a good mood and a bad mood. When I
Right.
share this with somebody, you know, my excitement
Absolutely.
level, where it's at, whether I can close somebody or not. Um, you know,
And
what about
I would like to actually say something I think that would be really, I don't know, I think it would be helpful for everybody is that, you know, sometimes, and I know this because even as a 200K, there's people that have 10 times bigger teams than I do. And that's totally fine. There's a continuum to everything, right? But people will say, well, you're 200K, you don't really understand that, or things like that. And it's like, I always want to make sure that everybody remembers that at one time we came in, hit the button, and had nothing. So there, you know, to say that we haven't been there or we haven't fallen back or we haven't lost people or whatever is not accurate, right? So we started at ground zero, no customers, no promoters, like every other single person in this company. And so what we've done is fail a ton more, you know,
right?
and have failed forward. And that's just the thing. We all started in the same place. So I say that to everybody so that you understand that just because you're not where you want to be today doesn't mean you won't be. Are you going to be disappointed if it takes you 5 years to get to 200K? I sincerely doubt it.
Right. I
Just
always tell
because somebody
people
took
that.
5 months, who, you know, it doesn't make their accomplishment any greater than yours taking 5 years.
Right. You know, I was just thinking this could be a different, completely different scenario when we look back, and you said you fell back to 40K, right? You were 80K, fell back to 43 months later, 200. You wouldn't even be on this call right now, right?
That's right.
It could have went in a completely different direction. It was a decision you made. I watch it happen all the time. Somebody
It was,
gets
and
to,
it was those 4 words. Do you
you
want it?
want it,
Do you
right?
want it? And I
Right.
did, and I wanted it bad, and I busted my hump, and I worked like I'd never worked before. So that's the question. You know, ask yourself, am I willing to do what I've never done before at a level that I've never done before, or do I care? I mean, like, we can't answer it as leaders. We can't answer it for you. The only thing we can do is support you and encourage you with whatever that decision is and love you exactly where you are. That's the only thing we can do for you.
Sherri, I could have you on all day, seriously. Like you are, no, you are exactly what I needed today. And I know a lot of people, I'm getting messages on the side in my inbox. This call is awesome. It really, really is. And I want to
I
ask
would
you one
say
more
don't give
question.
up. That's my absolute uh, message to every single person listening is just don't give up, because what you're doing is giving up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself.
Amen. I
If you
like,
want it, don't give up.
it's that simple. And like you said, I don't have anybody on my team. You know, I have people that went 200K in a month and a half, and I've had people that went 200K in 3 years. I
Right.
promise you, none of those people are crying. Nobody at 3 years that hit is going, this sucks. I mean,
Right.
everybody's happy. And you'll get there with that time and consistency. But it's not just being consistent with the time. Oh, if I stay
Right.
in 5 years, I'm suddenly going to make money. You have to do the do, right? You
Correct.
have to
Yep.
do it. You know, my
Absolutely.
last question for you is this. I am huge with self-development because I know I wouldn't have
Hmm.
gotten through the last 10 years in this industry without it. Like and I wouldn't be the leader I am. I wouldn't be the person I am. Like I
Right.
look back and I go, wow, how much I've grown. And I think it's so cool that we're part of an industry. Like what other job do you get to like work on yourself? You
Right.
don't. Like it's so cool that you get to become better. Is there anything, tips or anything that you do daily or something that you think is a must or a book you think everyone needs to read? Is there something that you're just kind of like, this is a must in self-development?
I think I don't know that there's any one specific thing. I love Audible. I know a lot of people do a lot of different things, but like I listen to Audible in the shower. I listen when I clean. I listen to YouTube videos. I have like, and that's something I've done literally, and it was probably because 21 years ago when I started my upline in my very first company talked about how important that self-development was. So I learned that literally over 20 years ago was whatever you pour in will pour out, right? And so put the good stuff in, and continue to do it and do it in whatever way works for you. Reading, whatever your method is, is it Audible? Is it watching YouTube videos? Is it reading a hardcover, an actual book? Everybody's different in what the way the information sticks for you. I kind of do I guess a combination of things. I love when I walk, when I'm on the treadmill, things like that. I'm always listening to Brian Tracy or, you know, somebody like that or an Audible book, something like that. Always, always, always. I always want good information going in.
Right. You can't get out of funks. Like it is so hard to develop yourself to change your mindset, to get out of these funks that we all fall into, or these places where our minds start telling us maybe we're never going to get there. Maybe we're not worth it. Maybe,
Right.
whatever your mind's telling you, because that's exactly what happens when a setback occurs. A setback occurs for all of us. Maybe I haven't lost 200K, but I've definitely lost volume. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well, and here's something else and it's just a side note, but on the self-development, one of the things, because I think that we have so many things dangled in front of us. Get leads, do this program. You know, so here's what I would say to you. You don't need to buy every single program on the face of the earth. You have the most incredible free training in this company with sidelines, with our in our back office, and so much. Stop looking elsewhere for the magic and look in the mirror. Like,
oh my
because
gosh,
whatever
it's
you
the
pour
best.
into you when you look in the mirror, that's where your answer is. That's where your answer is.
Oh, it kills me. People are paying like I'm doing this online thing for $500, but yet they're not ordering like product to get out in people's hands. It's like you're not going to find the answer anywhere else. I've been doing this for 10 years and I've been caught up in that stuff before. Oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
pay for this course and it's going to give me the magic. There's never anything in there that I haven't heard before. Never.
No, the
There's
magic's in
never.
the mirror. The magic's in the mirror.
Yep.
What are you saying to yourself? What are you telling yourself? Actually, I have a
Do
book
you
on that.
want it? You
And do you
should.
want it?
You need to write a book called Do You Want It? Yeah, it's just been amazing.
Actually,
Well,
it's
I
called
just
self bullying. What to do when the bully is you is what the name of the
right.
book is. But that also is actually reflective of my journey. And that is that I had to tell myself good things. And when you are in this business, whatever you tell yourself is literally what you're telling somebody else. It's what I want to say when you got the table set and you're inviting them to the table. What are you actually inviting them to? That's what the mirror's for. That's what you're going to
I
get.
love it.
It's what you're going to get.
I
Whether you're saying it out loud or not, it comes out. Um, it's a skunk story, but I don't know if we have time to tell you that. But anyway, don't be a skunk. That's my thing. You don't have to see it to know it's there. The skunk is means fear. And so like when you're driving down a road and you're like, oh, I got to roll down the window, it smells. You don't see the skunk, but you know it's a skunk, so you know you want to avoid it, right? You want to let it out. That's what happens when you show up and prospect with fear. People don't even know why they have a pushback to you, but it's
That is
because
so good.
they don't like the skunk smell, and you're the skunk. So my team knows really very well when I say don't be a skunk, or I'll just say skunk, and they know because I've told that story so many times. Don't be a skunk. Show up with confidence, and it's not about your rank that gives you that. It's about your ability to look in the mirror and say, I'm enough, I'm okay, and I love this product.
Oh my gosh, Sherri, you're awesome. Like, I seriously could listen to you all day, and that I love that. That is so true. Like, the stuff we tell ourselves, and then we try to go tell everybody else, believe in yourself, and you don't believe in yourself. You
Right.
know, it's like if you don't think people can see through those walls, they can. And I love that. That
They
analogy with
smell
the
it.
skunk is so good. It's
Yep.
so you can smell it. Smell
Yes,
the
you can.
fear. I love that. Well, I
Don't be
want
a
to
skunk.
thank you so, so much. Everybody,
Thank
we
you.
just got paid 2 minutes ago. And I always say on
Yay!
Tuesdays, we get paid twice with our check. And then even more so by this call, just hearing somebody else's story and their tips and their journey. And guess what? I mean, your story today, just like I could go on and on about it. Like we touched on so many things. And I know you impacted a ton of people that needed to hear this today. And
And
so I
I
want to
love
thank you.
listening. I listen to your trainings all the time. Yet another resource. So,
Oh,
you know
thank
where you
you.
get fed and filled, and just do it.
Right. Amen. Well, I have the recording for this, so I can get it out to you, Sherri, if you want to share it with
Awesome.
your team as
Thank
well.
you.
And you guys, I will get the recording out later. Everybody go check your paychecks. Don't forget to make your payday posts today. Those are huge posts, just sharing with people what your paycheck did for you this week. It's those little things that stick out to people, especially around the holidays. You guys, we can still help people make money in their pockets before Christmas. I mean, we've got like 4 weeks that we can literally help people put 4 paychecks in their pocket extra. That's huge. You don't know who you can impact. So make today great. You guys, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, same time, same place. Thank you again, Sherri, and thank all of you guys for hopping
Thank
on today
you.
and pouring into yourselves.
Happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving,
guys.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.